another episode of SFDC Ops tutorial. In this tutorial, we will try to understand what is design attributes in LWC and how we can utilize it. So first try to understand what is design attributes in LWC. Design attributes makes our LWC attributes available to system admin or a developer to edit in builder tools like Lightning App Builder, Community Builder, or in a Flow Designer. So to do so, we will expose our component attribute in any of our builder tools using these design attribute. As we see in Aura, we have design file where we use design attribute tag. But talking about Lightning Web Components, we can define design attributes in our meta XML file by using target config tags. And there is one more important point that we have to define our property as public using @API decorator in our JS file. So without delay, let's create a simple example to understand more about design attributes in Lightning Web Component. So I have created a component, if you see here, that is design attribute, and here I'm using a property that is called title. Now what I want here, I want the value of this title to be passed through a flow. So I'm marking this property. Now the next step, as we discussed earlier, in JS file we have to mark this property as public. To make the property public, we have to decorate it with @API decorator. So go and click say @API, and the property that we are going to pass, that is called title. You have to mark @API here also. Okay, so this is the place where whole things plays their important role. So the first thing what I'm going to do, I will expose my components, so I mark it as true. The second thing what I want make my component visible in flow screen. For this I'm going to use target tab. So in target tabs, you will define where you want your component visible. So I'm using target, and in target, as we discussed earlier, we want it available in a flow screen. So you have to define lightning, okay, lightning flow screen. Okay. Now the next thing here, we are going to create our design attribute. For this, we have to use target config tab. And in target config tab, we have to use target config. And in target config, it will ask about the target. So in our scenario, the target will be our flow screen. So just copy this thing and just paste it here. Now we have to define the properties also. So if you use the property tag, okay, in property tag, we have to define some attributes. So the first attribute that we are going to use here, this is called name. What does name do? Name's value must be match the property that we have defined in our JS file. So we want this title to be passed through a flow. So we have to use the same name as here. So the name will be title. Okay. Okay. There is one error here. We have to place between this target config. Okay. Now it is fine. Okay. Then another property. Am I right? Property. Okay. The next thing that we are going to define here is called type. Type means what will be the data type of your attribute. So in our scenario, the data type will be the string. Okay. Another important, so these two things are required. The first one is called name and the second one is called type. There are some more attributes. Let's discuss one by one. So the another thing is called label. What does label means? Labels defines that it will display as a label for the attribute in your builder tool. So in our case, let's suppose we say that enter the title. Okay. Another attribute is called default. So default means do you want to provide this title some default value or not? So right now I'm not putting anything in the default tag. There is one more important tag that is called role. What does role means? Role means that let's suppose you want to restrict your property to input only or to output only in your builder tools. So let's suppose if you don't define role tag here, role attribute here, what it means, it will available for input and for output both. We will see in our when we are calling our LWC in our flow, you will properly understand. So right now I'm not defining any role here, and then we will create one more thing, and there we will use this role attribute. Okay, so we are almost done here. Just deploy this component. So once you deploy this component, what we are going to do, we are using a screen flow, and in screen flow, we are calling our LWC, and there we will pass the value of this title. So go to your developer org, click on flows. Okay, it's taking time to load. Let me reload it again and click it again. So the my flow is here. Just click on new flow, and we are going to create a screen flow. So just create a screen flow. What I will do, I will first add a screen, and let's suppose we say that it's a LWC screen. And in LWC screen, what we will do, we will drag our lightning web component. That is, this is our component. When you drag this component, you will, the first thing that is, it will ask, do you want, what will be the API name? So in our case, I'm just putting it as LWC. So if you see here, it will ask for enter the title. So where it came from? It came from the thing that we define in our meta XML file. So the label it will take the enter the title. So if when we changing the label, so it will reflect there, and it will ask for the name and the type if you see here. So let's suppose for the title, I'm just passing it as SFDC Ops Tutorials. And one more thing that I discussed earlier also, the role. So if you don't define the role, it will take as default one. And what does default means? Default means it will available for input and output both. So let me show you here. So right now, if you see here, it is available for input. So you can put your message here. But when you go to advanced tab and when you make this checkbox clickable, you will see you can store it this property as output also. So this is how the role attribute works. So right now I'm not providing anything in it. Okay. So just I'm just clicking on done. So what it will do, it will first call my flow, and where I'm just passing any message there, the message will go to the title property, and title property will show our component here. So just save the flow and just say it's a design attribute flow, and just save it out and go to debug. And when you click on debug, the first thing it will ask, what will be the message that you are going to pass? So just, did we provide any message there? Let me check. Okay, we have passed the message. So what it will do, that we have defined the title as SFDC Ops tutorial, and so the when we debug our flow, what it will do, it will show the message something like welcome to SFDC ops tutorial, because we have set it the value of title as SFDC ops tutorial. Okay, so just done and click on debug. And when you debug this flow, taking time to, okay, when you click on run, let's see, welcome to SFDC ops tutorial. So this is how the design attributes works in LWC. Let me show you one more thing. So let's suppose I have created, um, just create a break tag first. Okay, this is my break tag, and just create a lightning input, just to show you how the role attributes work. So in lightning input, I'm just putting a label as enter the value between 1 to 100. Okay, and let's suppose for handling this, I'm just creating a handler also. So on change, I will say handle change. And for, okay, spelling is mistake. This is handle change and there. And for the value, I will say number, number. Okay. Now go to your JS first to handle this. So this is my handle change. I will define event there and just in event. So here this is my number. Go to number, and here also you have to define it with @API. And in the number, what I say, this dot number is equals to event dot target dot value. So whenever the values changes, it will go back to my number. And now here, what I will do, I'm just copy paste this property, and in the title that we have to pass here the number because we defined it as number. Let's take it as type will be a string, and I will say I will use the same label that I defined here. So enter the, okay, so just first remove this and just copy paste there. So it will ask enter the value between 1 to 100. The default value I will set it as 0, and I'm using role attribute. So in role we have an option, either we can pass input only or output only or just a default one. So we already discussed default means it is available for input and output both. So for this case I mark it as output only. Okay, so when I mark it as output only, let's see what is the changes happen in our flow. Okay, might be I'm getting some error. Property number doesn't support the default value because it is available. Okay, yes, we have marked it as wrong because we are going to pass it from there. So just deploy it again. So this is deployed. Let's go back to your flow one more time. Just first refresh, reload the page. And now if you see here, when you go to your design attribute back and go to your advanced section and click on manual design. Now this time, if you see this, the second property, that is number, that we are going to pass is available only for output, but it is not available for input. So this is how the role attribute works. So let's suppose I'm creating a variable. Why I'm just creating a new resource here. So I will show whatever the number the user has put it here in my screen. So let's create a variable and just mark it as number. Just use the same one, and I'm just selecting the data type as text. Okay. And right now, if you want to pass any default value, so let's suppose I'm marking as default value 12, and I'm just clicking on done. So the default value for the number will be 12, or if you want, it's up to you. You want to pass or not. So let's see how it works. So I'm just saved my changes and just add one more screen to display my number. So just drag a new screen. First give the name. So I mark it as final screen, and in the display text show user selected number. Okay, it will be the API name. So just adding some underscore between these. And now what I'm going to show my number. So when the flow call my LWC, we will provide an input. So user, whatever the user puts inside that input, we will displaying that thing in our screen flow. So just click on done, save it again, and go to debug again. So by default, if you see when you click on run, by default the message will be the SFDC ops tutorial, and enter the value between 1 to 100. So whatever the value that I'm going to put, okay. So what is happening? Let's suppose if I'm putting the number 35. So 35 will go to the flow, and flow, so you make this property as available for output. So flow will take this number and it will display in our final screen. So I'm put it as 35. When I click on next, you will able to see the number it will take as 35. So this is how the design attributes in LWC is going to work, and this is how you can utilize the role attributes. So that is all from this video. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and please tell us if you want a video from a particular topic. Thank you for joining this tutorial.